who had friends who are nurses in New York in the hospitals treating COVID-19, who testified about gross misconduct and negligence and mass murder in the hospitals. Today, for the very first time, we have, thank God, a first-hand testimony. People were telling me, why am I posting videos of second-hand testimonies? Unconfirmed. Just somebody making a claim. I said I spoke to and texted one of these nurses who is not herself in New York but has friends in New York, and she said that they cannot come out publicly because they signed non-disclosure agreements and they would lose their license, and they simply can't, put their whole livelihood at risk to do that. And they spoke to lawyers, and even though they're reporting crimes, they can't do that. They have a gag order on them. Today, we have testimony from a nurse who is in New York right now, and she's at her wit's end, and she has spoken out. Her testimony will save the world. This woman, Nicole Sirotek, her testimony will save the world from this madness, from all this paranoia, because people are being deceived into thinking that doctors and nurses are genuinely treating these patients. And if we're told that they died from COVID-19, that's somehow believable, because they wouldn't tell us such a big lie, because such a big lie couldn't be covered up. Big lies can be covered up, but not all the time. There will always be cracks, people who will speak out. And now more than ever before, with the ease of modern communications, just being able to upload a testimony onto YouTube and it's spreading quickly, they can't put the lid on their evil deeds anymore. The same internet and Facebook and Google that they used to control us, to surveil us, to limit our privacy and our freedom, is now being used against these elites to expose their evil deeds, to expose their corruption, to expose their murder, to expose their evil agenda. When we're being told on the news that people are dying in New York and that the hospitals are war zones, yes, they're dying in the hospitals, but because they're being murdered in the hospitals. That's why they're dying in the hospitals, because there is an agenda to murder as many people as possible. And the only way of explaining that is that they have an agenda in jacking up the death toll so they can control the whole world with this fear-based mind control. Psychological warfare. It's a psyop. They're trying to control us. They need death. Death controls us. We hear death, we switch off our critical thinking abilities, and we submit to their rules, to their control, their agenda to deprive us of every single last right we have and turn us into an open air prison planet. That's what they want. We can't allow that to happen. We have to expose the truth that there is a very evil agenda going on. COVID-19 is at worst as bad as the flu, probably much less than that if it even exists. But it's certainly not causing death at numbers far more great than the flu. That's simply not true. It's not true. It's a big lie. It is complete propaganda for the sake of control, a police state takeover. The media lies. Don't trust a thing on the media. Anything you see in the media could be, and probably is, pure Hollywood. Certainly anything designed to incite, to spread fear. If the purpose is, if it has the effect of striking fear in you, so that you will put on a face mask and you will hide at home and stay home, and you will submit to testing, saliva testing and blood testing, and ultimately to a vaccine and a microchip, then if that is the outcome of whatever they're saying on the news, you know not to believe it. You know that the opposite is true. Lies, fake news. President Trump has done such a favor for us by saying over and over fake news. It's so true. The news is pure propaganda for the evil elites, for the deep state. Just the other day, they're talking about how they're seeing kids. They show these pictures of these kids with these blotches on their legs, these toddlers. Ooh, COVID. It's COVID related. COVID affects little kids. Don't believe that for a second. They want you to be afraid, and they want you to think that kids are going to harm adults, and that everybody must separate from everybody, divide and conquer. Don't believe it for a second. It's all pravda. We have a first-hand testimony of what is really going on in the hospitals. This testimony must be spread. It is a first-hand testimony. This is the first time, which I'm aware, and I've been spending all my time following this. Everyone must see this first-hand testimony. Spread it out far and wide. This will change the world. This one woman, righteous, noble woman, uploading a video onto her smartphone, she will change the world and save the world from this evil agenda. Everyone must share this video. You have an obligation, in my opinion, to share this video of this woman, Nicole Sirotek. As soon as someone watches this video, if they have any ounce of any integrity, they will have to admit that this is a big con. They will have no choice. What we have been warning about and trying to speak out about all this time will become obvious and clear beyond any doubt. What this woman is saying is, it's just horrific. Her testimony is horrific. She says that the doctors and nurses are deliberately administering procedures to the patients that is killing them. She goes to her director of nursing, says, this guy is killing him. It's killing this patient. And he just shrugs. shook his head. Then she turned around and the guy was dead. She saw a nurse filling someone's lung with tube feeding, which is completely the incorrect procedure, and he died. She says they're letting them rot on the vents. They're when someone's low on blood, they should replace the blood. So when she saw a need for a patient to have his blood replaced, so she said to those in charge, she said, "Does he have internal bleeding?" And they said, "Does he have internal bleeding?" And she said, "No." And so they said, "Well, we're not replacing the blood." And they need to have a blood transfusion because the vents don't help if you're low on oxygen carrying capacity in your blood. She also says there are vast numbers of staff. There is no shortage of staff. We've known that already. We've heard that testimony. There's no shortage of staff. So certainly there's no excuse for doing certain procedures because of a lack of staff.
Great goodness. It is 8:42 New York time. And I got to my regular unit and they took my...
Yeah, that's her. She's crying and she is saying black and white that they are killing the patients. There's no other way to describe it. She says she feels like she's living in the twilight zone. She goes to the administrators and she tells them, asks the pleads with them to do something, and all they do is transfer her to another hospital. And she says one other guy who she knows did the same thing, and they transferred him as well. Otherwise, everyone is okay with it. And they just give pathetic excuses like you can't save everyone. Well, that's not an answer. You can't save everyone, but if you're trying to kill everyone, then of course you won't save them. She says it's like Nazi Germany. If someone would be saying, "Why are we taking the Jews to the gas chambers?" And then another person would respond, "Well, we can't save everyone." Not that some people won't die, but here they're actively giving them treatment that is causing them to die knowingly. And she says she's surrounded by sociopaths who think this is okay. She says she feels like she's in the twilight zone. She says nobody has stethoscopes to even measure people's lungs. And she says they all know that no standard of care is being given. Everyone knows what's going on. They're not somehow mistakenly behaving in this way. They know the normal standard of care, and they know that this is murder, and they're actively participating in it, all these nurses and doctors. And whenever she goes to an admin to complain, they ignore her, they transfer her, and she's gone to advocacy groups and they've ignored her. She went to the newspaper and they ignored her. There is an agenda, a conspiracy to cover up what is really going on in the hospitals. This is the truth. This is the truth about what is going on in New York. She saw a guy being placed on a tube that caused the patient to choke to death on his own blood. She saw she comes to the conclusion that none of this has to do with COVID. It's not COVID. COVID is not killing people in New York. COVID is not the cause, which means that there's that we're being sold a lie. And she does not know what to do. She says, "Do you guys have any idea what to do?" Because she is at her wit's end. She's going to she goes back to her unit and she says, "Let's see how they kill them there, okay? Stay safe. Stay out of New York City for your health care." That's what she says. Stay out of New York City for your health care. That's the only truth to the saying, stay safe. Everyone must see this video. I will post it. Soon the whole world will see it. And the whole world will have to admit that we have been sold a big lie. That this is an intentional lie. That the news is Hollywood. It is theater. And the nurses being hailed as frontliners. This woman is a frontliner. But all those other nurses who she says are sociopaths because they're okay with participating in murder, they're not frontliners. They're accessories to murder. They're accessories to mass mind control. That's what they are. They're tools of the elites to conquer the world. They're frontliners of evil. Spread this message. God bless. Very soon, this evil will be exposed, and hopefully, all these measures will be removed, and we'll be able to return to normal, and our world will be healed, and Hashem will save us from all these evil things.